interest on money, the only money that they've created. There's always more debt than there is money, and that's just where it begins. The rabbit hole goes deeper and deeper, my friend. In fact, through this process of continuous lending and debt creation, the money supply is increased by 100 times over this $10,000 that the Federal Reserve printed that was issued in bonds, and there is 100 times the money floating around in our economy than was originally created out of what? Thin air. So here's what I want to encourage you to do. I know a lot of you are struggling with debt. I want to encourage you in the fact that, number one, yes, I do think that you should pay off your debts if you have the ability to do so and if you can make money to do it. But you know what the real best way to probably pay off our debt would be? It would be to, take a cup like this cup that, I have right here, put a lid on it to trap the air in, bring it into the bank and say, hey, I just wanted to pay you back for all of the money that you lent me. Thank you so much. I want to give you a hand. Because the fact is, folks, we can't pay it off. It's impossible to pay off because the more money that's created, the more interest is created, and the more interest there is, then debt. The more interest there is than money. Today, it is impossible to pay it off. There is no way to do it other than collapsing and resetting the system. Isn't that appalling? Nobody's ever explained that to you now. 99% of you are going to say, yeah, Dave, you're off your rocker. I promise you, go pick up that book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, study fractional reserve lending for the next 6 months, and I promise you, you will not come to any other conclusion but the fact that money is created from debt. It's the only place that it comes from. And not only is it impossible to pay off if we did, nobody would be able to spend because the money would be gone. It'd be all back in the Federal Reserve. And we can't do that because we would still owe because there's more debt than there is money. Isn't that encouraging? Isn't that something that wants to make you jump up for joy? So you say, Dave, I thought this started positive. I want to learn how to make tons of money in my life. Well, let me explain to you exactly how you can do that. So I started looking at this and I was saying, man, that's really defeating, is it not? I mean, when you look at what that actually is, what's the Bible say, right? I'm not even like this avid Christian Bible guy, but what's the Bible say about it? Well, here's what the Bible says. It says, the borrower is servant to the lender. We're essentially kept in bondage, not just as a country, but by private people, everybody in the world. All of our money, if we have money, that's backed by us living in the United States, which of course now I live in Costa Rica, but I still am a United States citizen, so technically by that citizenship, guys, I owe money that I've never even spent. Isn't that appalling? We're kept in this bondage by people, and we don't know who they are that run the Federal Reserve. It's a private organization. So let's talk to you, though, about this concept of money. Let's accept it and let's stop being negative. Let's just look at it for what it is. Let's step back and say, okay, I understand what's going on. However, and this is the big however, how can I get more of it in my life? Because isn't that the real question? Well, let me explain something else to you, and this is going to go deeper into the rabbit hole, and so I hope I don't lose every single one of you, but as I go through this presentation, I think that you'll not only be fascinated by it, but I think that it's going to open up a dimension in your thinking about the best way to get money. You ready? So let's talk about the nature of human beings, who we are and what we're meant to do. In fact, what we're designed to do. I'm going to appeal to two different groups of people who are watching this presentation today, because to be honest, I don't know how things work. I can't claim that I'm this immaculate person that knows all things, that understands everything, that I'm a logical thinker, because we all miss things in life, right? Isn't that true, that we all don't know exactly what's going on, so I can't judge any belief system. So I'm going to appeal to people that think that we were created by a divine being. I'm also going to appeal to people who believe in evolution, okay? Let's explain this here really quick, and let's talk about how people are meant to live. Regardless of what you believe, and this goes back into money, trust me, and it's going to help you get tons more money in your life so much, it's unbelievable. And you're saying, Dave, are you some sort of, are you trying to take my money here? What's going on? Not at all, actually. I'm trying to get you to give me, no, I was kidding. I'm trying to get you to give me money. I'm kidding. All right, let me talk to you guys just really quick, just for 1 second, about the nature of human beings. Now, I'm not going to get into belief systems, okay? Whether you are a Christian or a Hindu or an atheist, or whether you think that the whole thing is hogwash and we were all just put here by aliens, regardless of what you believe happened, probably it's some sort of variation of somebody's beliefs that's out there, because, not everybody is perfectly right if there's one fixed way of everything, which maybe there isn't. But I want to just say, I'm not here to offend anybody. I just want to talk about biology here for a second. So let's say we were created, right? And let's use the Adam and Eve story here for a second. We were created naked, placed into a tropical garden, and told to eat fruit and to pick plants, and that's how we were going to survive. Life was pretty enjoyable. Talking animals, you're petting the animals, you're talking to the frogs that are jumping all around, you're petting the grass, not knowing that you're naked, just totally innocent to anything that's going on around you in your life. And here's the thing. You were suited in an environment that was perfect for your biology. Your body is designed to do and not do certain things in the day. Let's look at evolutionary biology for a second. We were not evolved in a cubicle. We were evolved in a situation where we were always eating the high-quality foods. In fact, if you talk to evolutionary biologists, you'll find that in the history of the human species, we never worked more than 4 hours per day until about 5,000 years ago with the advent of agriculture. Now, how did agriculture get invented? Well, this is a fascinating discussion, and let me explain to you why it is, because it actually fits into the creation story a little bit as a metaphorical parable, but also it shows something about human nature that very few people are willing to look at, and it actually shows why we even need money in the first place and where it actually comes from. And this is the fascinating part about it. We got to go back to the grassroots in order to get to a more magnificent future. Are you ready for this? Are you ready? Because I don't think that you're going to like it. Once upon a time, men were big and strong. In fact, if you go back 6, 7, 8, 10,000 years, our brains used to be 11% bigger than they are today because we ate the way, we acted in a way that our bodies were designed or evolved to act. We ate the best foods, we lived in our natural environment, we were happy being who we were meant to be. Then one day some girl comes along, because heck, those women out there, they sure are smarter than us men. Say her name is Eve, and she discovers in her process of gathering plants that if she just collects a little seed from a little piece of fruit and carries it with her to the next place they go, she discovers by this little seed and this piece of fruit that if she plants it, she can grow a new orange tree. And by doing so, she has now discovered that they no longer have to hunt and gather. In fact, they can just be in one place at a time and continuously produce their own food supply. It's the most important discovery that was ever made to mankind. It took us from having to wander the earth and do what we were really built to do. It took us from that to living in little towns and little cities that gradually evolved into bigger and bigger cities with thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. In fact, before this happened, there was only 250,000 people in the world. It's estimated by evolutionary biologists or historians, regardless of who you talk to, 250,000 people total, because the world without agriculture really can't support more than that. So we invent agriculture, and the culture exponentially, it expands in a state that's never been done before. So this culture expands from 250,000 people eventually to a 250 million people, where it kind of stops out for thousands of years. But here's what happens. We're moving along. Keep in mind, we've been living for a long, long, long time, living in a certain way, never going into an office, never having to trade, because we hunted and we ate what we needed and we provided for our families the rest of the day. That's what people have been doing for tens and thousands of years. And we went from that to having to work all day to support an ever-growing and larger civilization. Skills became specialized. People moved from hunting and gathering and telling stories late night in a tribe. They moved from doing things like that to where one guy was a smith and another guy was a musician and another guy was a storyteller and another person was a teacher, and a mom all of a sudden became a housewife, and then they were outsourcing and having other people grow food. And one guy raised cows and another guy planted grass and another person, they planted fruit trees, and they all worked together in these little communities. And I found out that if I give you a coconut, well, then I get a back massage in return, so we can trade, hence the invention of money. Now, for thousands of years, we've used solid asset-backed currency, and here's how we've gotten money. Check this out. I have something you want, I give it to you for something that I want. Merchants developed a skill, and they said if we can put this into an asset-backed currency, backed in something that can be equally traded, we can make a lot more than what other people are giving us. They created coinage, gold and silver coins, one of the coolest inventions ever, because for the first time ever it created an equal trade mechanism where people could create massive amounts of wealth. There became some very wealthy people in the world. In fact, King Solomon, believe it or not, was supposedly, by what it says in the Bible, if he was a real person exactly as it was written in the Bible, King Solomon was supposedly had the wealth of 100 Bill Gates. Can you believe that? And he did that through a gold and silver trading real tangible assets. Now they discovered this. This was discovered by merchants, and it allowed for a good lifestyle for a lot of people in an agricultural, a little bit unnatural, unnerving society for a long time, until somebody discovered that they can trick people into trading something that's not worth anything that they can print for free, which allowed for the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of the world. That's how fiat money got invented, which is what we have today.